The phone buzzed on my workbench just as I was applying the final coat of varnish to the rocking chair. My hands, steady despite 73 years of living, trembled as I read the words on the screen. "I'll be staying at my mother-in-law's house. Your home is awful." I set down my brush and read it again, hoping I'd misunderstood. But there it was, stark and cold, from my daughter Rebecca. My Becca, the girl who used to climb into my lap and trace the calluses on my palms, asking me to tell her the story behind each one. For a long moment, I just stood there in the garage workshop I'd built 40 years ago, surrounded by half-finished projects and the smell of wood shavings. The rocking chair, the one I'd been making for her new baby, my first great-grandchild, stared back at me like an accusation. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I typed and deleted 3 different responses before finally settling on the one that felt true. "Then I have failed you in ways I'm only beginning to understand. Come by tomorrow at 2 p.m. There's something I need to show you." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. That night I barely slept. I kept thinking about what Rebecca said. Awful. The house where she'd grown up, where her mother and I had raised her and her brother, where Martha had died 5 years ago, leaving me alone with memories soaked into every floorboard. I'll admit I'd let things slip. After Martha passed, I'd moved most of my living into the garage workshop. The main house felt too empty, too full of ghosts. Dishes piled up, dust gathered. The garden Martha had loved became overgrown. I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize it was awful. I didn't realize it was so bad my daughter would rather stay with her mother-in-law, a woman she'd complained about for the entire 5 years of her marriage. At 1:30 the next afternoon, I finished my preparations. I'd been working since dawn, and my old bones ached, but it was necessary. When Rebecca's car pulled into the driveway at exactly 2 p.m., she'd always been punctual, got that from her mother. I was waiting on the porch. She looked tired, 7 months pregnant, dark circles under her eyes, moving with that careful waddle expectant mothers develop. For a moment, seeing her like that, I forgot about the text. All I wanted was to help her, to make things easier. "Hi, Dad," she said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Becca," I stood, joints popping. "Thank you for coming." "Your text was cryptic." She climbed the porch steps slowly. "What did you want to show me?" I opened the door and gestured inside. "Everything." She stepped into the living room and stopped. I'd spent the morning cleaning, really cleaning, the way Martha used to. The floors gleamed, the windows sparkled, fresh flowers sat on the mantel, but that wasn't what I wanted her to see. "Come here," I said, leading her to the wall beside the fireplace. Taped there in chronological order were photographs, hundreds of them. Rebecca as a baby in this room. Rebecca taking her first steps right there by the couch. Rebecca and her brother building a blanket fort. Rebecca in her prom dress, standing by the stairs. Her wedding day, getting ready in the upstairs bedroom. "Dad, what is this?" "This is what you called awful," I said quietly, "but I needed you to remember what it was before it became what it is now." I walked to the kitchen, and she followed. Maury photos here. Rebecca learning to bake cookies on that counter. Family dinners around that table. Her mother teaching her to make her grandmother's soup recipe. Birthday cakes and homework sessions and ordinary Tuesday nights that had seemed so mundane then, but now glowed with irretrievable gold. "I know the house is a mess," I continued. "After your mother died, I couldn't bear to be in here. Everything reminded me of her, so I stopped maintaining it. I stopped living in it. I just existed, and I let it decay around me." Rebecca's eyes were shining. "Dad. But here's what you need to understand, sweetheart." I took her hand, the way I used to when she was small. "This house isn't awful. It's wounded, just like I've been wounded. And just like me, it needs someone to care about it again to bring it back to life." I led her upstairs to the nursery, the room that had been hers, then her brother's, and that I'd started preparing for her baby before Martha died. She gasped. I'd spent the last 5 years avoiding this room, but last night, after her text, I'd come in here, and I'd finally finished what Martha and I had started. The walls were painted a soft yellow. The crib I'd made was assembled and ready. The rocking chair from my workshop sat in the corner, completed now, with a small plaque on the back, made with love by great-grandpa for the newest branch on our family tree. You said your mother-in-law's house was better, I said, and maybe it is. Maybe it's cleaner, more organized, more put together, but does it have this? I opened the closet. Inside were boxes, each one labeled Rebecca's baby clothes, Rebecca's first art projects, Rebecca's school memories, Martha's grandmother's quilts. Your mother saved everything, I said. Every drawing, every report card, every little piece of your childhood. She was going to make a memory book for your baby, showing them who their mother was when she was young. She died before she could do it, and I couldn't face finishing it without her. But it's all here, Becca. 40 years of love stored in this awful house. Rebecca was crying now, really crying. Dad, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean. You meant it when you wrote it, I interrupted gently, and you weren't entirely wrong. The house is in bad shape, I've let it fall apart, but that text you sent, it woke me up. It made me realize that I've been so buried in grief that I failed to see what I was doing. I was letting the home your mother and I built together die just because she couldn't be in it anymore. I pulled out the rocking chair and gestured for her to sit. She did, carefully, one hand on her swollen belly. I'm going to fix this place up, I told her. Not just surface cleaning, really fix it. The way it deserves, the way your mother would want. And I'm going to do it before this baby arrives because I want your child to know this house the way you knew it, full of love and life and possibility. You don't have to do that, Rebecca whispered. Yes, I do, for me, for you, for this little one. I knelt beside her with some difficulty, placing my weathered hand next to hers on her belly. But I need you to understand something, Becca. When you called this place awful, you weren't just criticizing a building. You were rejecting every memory made here, every Christmas morning, every family dinner, every moment of your childhood. And maybe those moments don't matter to you anymore, but they matter to me. They're all I have left of the life your mother and I built. She was sobbing now. They do matter, Dad, they matter so much. I've just been so stressed with the pregnancy, and Mark's been working late, and his mother keeps commenting on everything I do, and when I came here last week and saw the dust and the clutter, I snapped. I took out all my frustration on you and this house, and that wasn't fair. Life rarely is, I said, getting back to my feet with a grunt, but we get to choose how we respond to unfairness. You lashed out, and I'm choosing to build something better. I helped her up from the rocking chair and led her back downstairs. On the kitchen table was a notebook. What's this? She asked. A project plan. I've listed everything that needs to be done to restore this house. New paint, garden work, repairs, deep cleaning, organization. It's a lot, and I'm not as young as I used to be, but I'm going to do it. And I was hoping, if you're willing, you might help me with some of it. Not the physical labor, you're in no condition for that, but maybe help me decide what to keep and what to let go of. Help me honor your mother's memory while also making this a place where new memories can happen. Rebecca flipped through the notebook, reading my careful handwriting. Plans for each room, a timeline, a budget, notes about preserving Martha's garden, about repainting in colors Martha had loved, about making the house safe for a baby who would crawl and toddle through it someday. You did all this last night. I couldn't sleep. Your text hurt, Becca, more than you probably meant it to, but pain can be productive if we let it be. It showed me that I've been stuck, frozen, living in a shrine to the past instead of honoring the past while building a future. She set down the notebook and hugged me awkwardly, her belly between us. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know, and I forgive you. But more importantly, I want you to help me make sure that when this baby is born, they have a great-grandpa's house to visit that feels like love, not neglect. Over the next 3 months, Rebecca came by twice a week. We worked together, me doing the physical tasks, her directing and organizing and helping me sort through 40 years of accumulated life. We found treasures, love letters between Martha and me, old family recipes in Martha's handwriting, photographs we'd forgotten existed. We also found plenty to discard, broken items I'd been meaning to fix for years, clothes no one would wear again, papers that no longer mattered. Slowly, the house transformed. Fresh paint brightened every room. The garden bloomed again under the care of a landscaper Rebecca hired as a gift. Windows were repaired, gutters cleaned, floors refinished. The house began to breathe again, to live. And something else happened too. Rebecca and I grew closer than we'd been in years. As we worked, we talked, really talked, about Martha, about grief, about parenthood, about fear and hope, and all the complicated emotions that come with loving people. She told me about her struggles with Mark's mother, about her fears about becoming a parent, about feeling inadequate and overwhelmed. I shared my own fears about agging, about loneliness, about whether life had meaning without Martha in it. "It does," Rebecca said one afternoon as we hung new curtains in the living room. "She's still here, Dad, in this house, in us, in the love that built all of this, that doesn't die just because she did." When her son, my great-grandson, was born in early spring, the house was ready. Rebecca brought him home from the hospital, but instead of going straight to her own place or her mother-in-law's, she came here first. "I want his first real memory to be made in this house," she said, placing the baby in my arms. "In the house where his grandfather was raised, the house his great-grandmother loved, the house that taught me what a home really is." I looked down at that tiny face, so new and perfect, and then around at the rooms we'd restored together. It wasn't just clean now, it was alive. Photos on the walls, fresh flowers on the tables, windows open to let in spring air. A house that honored the past while welcoming the future. "Welcome home," I whispered to my great-grandson, and for the first time in 5 years, I truly meant it. The house wasn't awful, it never had been. It had just been waiting, like me, for a reason to live again.